Well, just a quick word on the markets. The gains have kind of trimmed a bit, but Nifty Bank, I'm worrying.
Yeah, it is. And, the mid caps are picking up, but large caps are cooling off. And Reliance, once again, is a bit of a worry.
Is not
At
helping.
every higher level, there's some serious selling which is happening in Reliance. Even Nifty Bank, like Lata mentioned, has come off the highs. And, this trend of at least F&O stocks, where good results are getting sold into, is so evident. Look at Coforge today, for example. It's now at low point of the morning. Despite coming out with what looked like a very strong set of numbers. You saw that with Ambuja as well, Asian Paints. I mean, so many stocks started with IT, of course, large cap IT. But look at that. So it's been a trend. The market positioning has been so strong ahead of the numbers that after the numbers, you are seeing profit taking.
Fair point. All right, we spoke about Nifty IT and the bit of profit taking there. So let's scratch the point further on what are the prospects for IT. It was a good quarter from Hexaware with record deal wins. The company says demand environment is strong, though spending across industries will vary. Well, we are joined by R. Srikrishna, the CEO of Hexaware Technologies. I have to tell our viewers that at the moment the interest in Hexaware Technologies itself will not be much because the stock is delisting. But that also puts you, Mr. Srikrishna, in a more neutral position. You don't have to say anything to favor your investors or to please them. You can tell us, you can be as candid as you want to be. So give us an idea of, your deal wins have been very good. Give us an idea whether you also feel, like Rajesh Gopinathan said, that we are at the cusp, at the start of a multi-year growth for Indian IT.
What I think will happen is this, right? Once the dust on COVID settles, and that's still a little bit of time away, but once it fully settles, I think first dollars will go to tech transformation. It's like in an Indian home, first dollars go to education. And people figure out a way to spend that and then kind of allocate money for everything else. I think that's going to happen for tech transformation. So as a consequence, yes, I think we are in for a new phase of growth and sustained phase of growth. Just think of cloud. I mean, if there's less than a quarter of applications that have already moved to cloud. Even then it's become enormous. But I think the other 3/4 will get to cloud in the next 5 years. If you think of data, probably less than 5% of data has got to cloud. And that will move at an accelerated pace because without getting data to cloud, you can't really leverage the power of AI and machine learning. So I do think that we are in for a new phase of growth once the dust on COVID fully settles.
Mr. Srikrishna, good morning. Thanks a lot for joining us. Like Lata said, now Hexaware is getting delisted. And Bearing now, I think, has 3 companies, IT companies. So is there a eventual plan to merge some of these companies? I think Virtusa is also where Bearing now has a controlling stake. Would you know of any such plans?
Well, that is not the intention, basis which either the Virtusa take private happened or the delisting for us happened. Right? We are working very fine as independent organizations. Each of us are growing nicely. So there's absolutely no plans to make good things bad by trying to merge entities.
Okay, got that. Shri Krishna, good morning. So, you have said that the demand environment is strong, but spending will vary across segments. So, which are the segments where you expect to see large amount of spending? Where do you think that things are still weak and clients are still a bit hesitant?
See, I think, every footfall sector, of course, starting with travel, I think there is a few quarters left before they recover fully. I mean, travel transportation especially, I think, is into 22 before their revenues come back to normal levels, pre-COVID levels, maybe mid-22. Now, tech may lead that recovery by a couple of quarters, but even then we're talking about 5-6 quarters for tech spending recovery fully in that sector. For sure, there is growth. I mean, even we grew at 11% quarter on quarter in that sector. But, quarter on quarter is the wrong metric to look at this quarter. You've got to look at Y and Y. It's still way off. I think that will be true for several quarters. There are other sectors which are heavily dependent on footfall, I think, where there's some quarters to go. But the biggest kind of secular risk in the short term, I think, is whether there is a second round of stimulus or not. If there is no stimulus, I think there will be a fairly secular impact across industries on growth. Okay. And of course, the waters have got muddied because of the election. Otherwise, I think it would have happened by now. Okay. And it may still happen, but I think that's a necessary condition for the growth to sustain.
All right. Mr. Srikrishna, we'll have to leave it at that. We had an expert earlier in the morning saying that if it is a blue wave, that is, a Democratic president and Democratic Congress and Senate, they are actually expecting a 3 trillion in terms of a stimulus. But let's wait and see, everything's up in the air. Thank you very much for joining us, and here's wishing all the best to you and to everyone at Hexaware.
Thank you, Lata. Thank you, and thank you to the viewers.
Thank you, Mr. Srikrishna. Of course, Hexaware is one company where the delisting was successful, and I must say that promoters were willing to give, a decent premium. I think
shareholders.
It was 280 when the delisting was announced, and 470 finally was the accepted price. So that way, things turned out well for shareholders. Prakash Kaba is joining us now for some fresh trading ideas. The market is essentially in no man's land. It's been doing that for the last 3 days now, at least intraday. Prakash, good morning. So what's your trade now?
Well, so far I would say that as far as Nifty is above the levels of around 11,800, 900, I think, is a strong support zone. 800 is 830, 820 is a strong support zone. But for the day, I think 900 is a strong support zone. Oh, okay. I like 2 stocks here. One is Cipla. Cipla certainly is looking good. Give some time and space. It's climbing to levels close to 785 zones. Stop below 765. And second is Maruti. I think Maruti is heading to levels closer to 7,100 zones. It's a matter of time. Stop below 6820. Maruti buy.
Right, Prakash, thanks a lot for that. So that's a buy on Maruti, and big moves really coming into a lot of the stocks in the auto space. In fact, after the good numbers from JK Tyres, Apollo Tyres has been rallying quite a bit. Yesterday it was up 2%, today it's up 3%. So buying there. And aviation is one space that's really buzzing. SpiceJet is now up almost 6%. So this whole unlock trade is playing out in its entirety. But shifting focus to the commodity markets now, Manisha Gupta, commodities editor, is here with us. Manisha, hi, good morning once again. What's the one commodity that you're looking at today?
Sonia, I'm going to take the conversation forward from where you talked about the aviation and the unlocked trades really happening, and the crude prices seem to be taking support from that as well. Even as the US dollar is stronger, we've seen the crude oil prices rebound back, so it's trading above $40 for the US crude. 43 is back is for the Brent crude also. While it has been volatile, but we do see higher highs being created in crude prices. Add to that the Russian oil minister's statement saying that they might continue with the record output cuts. 7.7 million barrels per day is what the OPEC and allies are cutting today, and that deal ends on December 31st. But Russian oil minister says that there could be an extension of that. For that, there is a meeting on 30th of November, 1st of December. That is where we will see some concrete decisions being taken. Apart from that, it is the US stimulus talks where there is some progress being made. We also have seen strong economic data. Even the US jobless claims have seen some positive numbers come in there. So all of that has been supportive. And then last night, we saw Goldman Sachs report come in as well. And they are very bullish on crude oil prices going forward, especially for 2021. For Brent, they expect the prices to average around $44 in this year. But for the next year, they are looking at $60 per barrel as well. For the US crude prices, it's around $40 that they see the prices averaging this year, but a $56 of an average price in the next year is what they're expecting. We have a similar report from Bank of America. They expect the prices to average 47 this year and around 50 next year. So between the two banks, it is Goldman Sachs, which is clearly way more bullish for crude prices in this year and the next.
Okay. Thank you very much for that, Manisha. If you say Goldman Sachs, the mind goes off into other things. That $2 billion of penalty that they have to pay, clawback of bonuses because of allegations of bribery. Well, sorry, I'm not taking away anything from commodity trades, but the mind gets thinking about other things. That's a very serious issue. Let's take a break on that note, but we are going to get back to earnings analysis. We've got a consumer company. Jaideep Nandi, Managing Director of Bajaj Consumer, joins in to talk about their numbers and the second half outlook.